Thanks to the support as a channel member, PP0476. Oh, folks, it's taken 24 episodes, but I finally have a tie that is both appropriate colours and an appropriate length. I would thank the person who sent me the link, but I got sent so many links, I don't remember which one this is. Thank you to everyone who sent me a link to the right tie. This does mean for the first time in the entire series, we do now have the full ensemble. We have the tie, we have the pin, we have the shirt behind me in the backdrop again. All of that means that if I know anything about the universe, and particularly the way Football Manager works, today's the day we get offered a job at a bigger club. It's just how these things turn out usually. Hello and welcome to part 24 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have two games in the National League for you. We're at home against Dorking and away against Solihull Moors. Since you were last with me, things were going okay until they weren't. And when they weren't, coincided with, you know, all those loan players that were coming in until January. Well, Football Manager 23 has got this thing where it's much harder to extend loans than it used to be. So here's me thinking we'll be able to just extend all those till the end of the season. They all went back to their parent club throughout January. And as you can see, our form fell off a cliff, largely because our squad disintegrated before my eyes. The only lone player we've got now, Matthias Roberts. Hang on, Kev. I thought he was with you permanently. Yep, he went to Charlton on a free transfer and they immediately loaned him back. We weren't even playing him. It doesn't even matter. We don't even need him, but he's now using up a loan spot. You can tell I was on tilt at this point, but to really demonstrate the depth of the problem, look at all these players we had on loan. Khan Bennett, he came in, 20 games, 11 goal contributions, a 7.05. He's back in Colchester. We had Jaden St. Paul, who was our first choice goalkeeper for most of the first half of the season, a 7.04 average. He's back at Norwich. Jason Sraha, he was our regular starting centre-back. He averaged a 7.21 and scored 2 goals from centre-back. He's back in Barnsley. We had Elika Hui, who, I'll level with you, didn't use as much, but he did play 13 games and was a useful utility player, often appearing from the bench. And Jensen Metcalf, who was probably the least impressive of all of them, but he had played 3 League One games before joining us and has since played in League One again since going back. So maybe we were just misusing him all along. But none of them are here anymore. We have tried to rebuild a squad. It is easier said than done. And of course, as we found in the summer, if you bring too many players in one go, like we do every year, it does take a little bit of time to gel and you end up with a start to the season that looks a lot like ours did. But we have brought a few in. Believe it or not, slimmer pickings at this time of year than what you get in the traditional summer free transfer ahoy moment. So we've only brought in 2 so far. Reece Thompson is a backup goalkeeper who is genuinely really quite rubbish, but he's in just for numbers. And then Jack Payne, who's 30, which would normally completely rule him out, but he has got so much Football League experience. Southend, Huddersfield, Bradford, Lincoln, Swindon, Charlton. He's been around a lot. He's been playing League One football until very recently. Been around League One and the Championship really all of his career. Still only 30. Only wanted £275 a week. So he's in. He's not yet made his debut. We've literally just signed him. And we've also lost DJ Campton Sturridge, who we sold to Forest Green because he wanted to leave. Louis Malden went to Chelmsford because he wanted to leave. Noor Hussein went to Chester because he wanted to leave. The squad is small. As you can see, the squad is small. The advantage of that, of course, is that it means we're not spending very much money at all. Less than £7,000 on our near £10,000 a week wage budget. It's not helping the terrible financial situation. The club's in a mess. But there is money to bring players in, either immediately if we find them, or when we get the Premier League releases that get announced usually around March time. We're actually in a position to, at least money-wise, offer a few of them some contracts, which we've struggled with in previous years. So it might be a nice little setup for next year. I think this season is probably a write-off when it comes to promotion, which is fine. Remember, we were only supposed to survive this year. And at the moment, despite that really rough month that we've had in January with losing all of our players, we do still find ourselves in 10th place in the league, a decent run of form. If Jack Payne comes in and is brilliant, for example, we could easily sneak our way into those playoffs, but we are well clear of the relegation zone. I don't think that's going to be anything we need to worry about this year. So I think the rest of the season is really just going to be treading water in mid-table, making sure we don't drop too far down, and being ready to pounce on those Premier League youngsters as soon as the opportunity presents itself, so we can have a proper step forward next year. That is, of course, unless we get an offer from a bigger club. I'm wearing the tie now. It's bound to happen. I'm happy at Peterborough Sports. I've just signed a new 2-year contract, so I'm not planning on going anywhere anytime soon. Hang on. I thought I'd signed a new 2-year contract. I'm out of contract in the summer. Have I confused this with my Twitch save? That seems really unlikely. Contract, he types in massive letters. That's not going to help, Kev. He's panicking now. Contract? I'm sure there's been discussions. I thought I'd... Why do I... I was convinced I'd signed a new contract. That's more worrying. We'll worry about that at the end of the season. It'll be fine. Board, can I have a new contract, please? Let's not worry about that for now. I'm sure I've lost my mind. I must be confusing it with my other save. That seems mad. Let's play Dorking. Dorking are just outside the relegation zone. So in normal circumstances, this should be a match that you would be thinking we're capable of winning. However, we're in rotten form. To be fair, they're in even worse form. We've got to win this one. We must win, and Jack Payne is going to make his debut as well. Our new fancy 30-year-old. 30's the new 18, boys and girls. Look at him be fancy. So we're going with Marshall in goal. He was always our first choice keeper. We never doubted him. Marshall in goal. A back four of Morris, Donnelly, Bennett and Leeson. Cisse at the base of the midfield. Levy and Hinchy centre mid. And I guess to fit in with the rest of the midfield, we're going to have to call him Paney. Cisse, Levy, Hinchy and Paney. In behind Sewell and Okoronkwo. On the face of it, it looks like a very, very solid 11. The problem we've got is we don't really have any depth behind it, and as soon as they start to get tired or injured or any other kind of issues along those lines, we don't really have the options to come off the bench, and we don't really have the flexibility to try any other system as well. If we continue struggling with the diamond, we don't really have the personnel to switch back to a 4-4-2 or, you know, try something... anything different. We don't really have the players for it. So we do need bodies in, but I don't just want to bring a load of trash in at the expense of then being able to get those Premier League players, Premier League players, the youngsters being released by the Premier League teams that are going to be up for grabs in a couple of months' time. So I think we kind of, like I say, have to accept that this season is a season of consolidation and just getting ourselves settled into the National League, making sure that we're not in any danger of getting relegated, but really setting ourselves up for the best possible start to next season. If we can bring players in March, they're not going to be new signings that we're having to sort out in August, if you get what I mean. And we shouldn't be having such a problem start to the season like we had this year with 10 new players arriving in the squad. So there's plans. They're just... It's a longer term project. And of course, the problem with a longer term project at a club like this is we forever have the issue of the club finances looming over us, which could affect things like me being offered a new contract. It could lead to budgets being reduced. We already saw we got promoted last season and then had our budgets reduced. But none of it matters when Jack Payne scores on his debut. We have a new hero, boys and girls. It's 1-0 to Peterborough Sports. It's the perturbed Dork derby and lovely old stuff from Payne. Hinchy gets under it, flicks it onto Payne, who just takes one touch and demonstrates that Premier League quality that he's got. He had like half a season in the Premier League where he never played a game, but it counts. He's a former Premier League player playing for us down at Peterborough Sports, and look at him go. It's a dream signing. He's come straight in and done a football goal. Marshall with the big Marshall lump that we know so well. 5 assists last season. I didn't notice when I was doing the season review. You can tell how far in advance I'm recording my videos at the moment. But the transfer special in my world only came out yesterday, and someone did mention in the season review on there that Marshall got 5 assists last year, which I love him. I love the fact that he can get 5 assists. Let's have 5 more in the remainder of this season. I think just seeing that would have been enough to get him ahead of St. Paul anyway, if St. Paul had still been here. Sewell bursting into the penalty area, shoots, and it goes just over. We could do with a second goal here. We do have a habit of being a little bit leaky defensively. We're in poor form. We could concede a goal at any moment. If we could score one, that is going to do us the world of good. And Reece Bennett now he's the only Bennett at the football club again. He's thriving. He likes to live in a world of only one Bennett. His poor wife. Peterborough Sports 2, Dorking 0. And we're now only 5 points outside of those playoffs. See, I told you, it's easy. It turns around quickly. I'm wearing my new glasses today and they keep slipping off my nose. I don't like it. I have to go back to my old ones. The amount of times, just count up. Let me know down in the comment section. How many times have I adjusted my spectacles? Might have to go back to Vision Express and have them tightened up. Not a sponsor, but if any glasses companies want to sponsor me, these ones were very expensive and I don't want to have to pay for them anymore. Right, Kwanzaa's going to come on for Bennett, who is tiring. We're also going to take off Okoronkwo, who is getting tired as well. Flynn Clark can come on for him. We've been playing Flynn Clark a little bit more as a centre forward recently. That was even before we brought Jack Payne in, but now Payne is here. As much as I like Flynn Clark and the story of the returning Peterborough boy coming back to the city, he ain't going to be playing ahead of Payne as the attacking midfielder. So I think he probably needs to force his way in up front. Problem is he's not really a natural goal scorer. He's a natural winger. We need to be playing with wingers to get the best out of him. And we're not, and we're probably not going to be because we don't really have any other wingers in the squad. We're just shuffling the back four around to accommodate Max McKnight coming in at right back. And fingers crossed, we just let this match just drift off into full time. I don't like the fact they've got a counter-attack going here. They've actually got a man over on this side if they can see him. They have seen him. He squares it across, but Donnelly is there to intercept and clears, and then McKnight is there to clear for a second time. Saul can release Clark here. Clark mistimed his run a little bit, and Saul didn't release him when he needed to, and Donnelly is going to try and make up for it, I think, but he is very much a centre-back playing at left-back here and didn't know what to do. Peterborough Sports 2, Dorking 0. Still 5 minutes remaining, and this is a strange old highlight. Levy playing it forward, looking for Saul, can't find him. We are just taking it in turns, lumping it back and forth into each other's halves. This is a key highlight. I love the National League. That is a spectacular goal. I hate the National League. 2-1, 5 minutes to go, and I feel like we're entering danger territory because this is just typical of the kind of form that we've been in this little spell that we're in at the moment, where it doesn't matter who we're playing, how rubbish they are. They've always got a goal in them. I mean, they're the worst team in the league for form. How are you going to convince me that they can score a goal like that when they've not been able to score a goal at all for goodness knows how long? Payne trying to get control of things in midfield again. Kwanzaa playing it forward, looking for Flynn Clark, but doesn't find him. And Donnelly is there to give it to Hinchy, who does try and release Clark down this left-hand side, but he couldn't get around his very excellently named marker. And now Saul is fouled, I think, but the ball is with Levy. Flynn Clark with the little ball forward looking for Levy. It was a little bit ahead of him, and now Dorking have got the chance to ruin my day. They didn't. They bottled it, and hopefully that's the last highlight we have to see in this terrible non-league football match that we've just had to watch. Oh, I miss us being good, but ultimately that's our first win of this calendar year with a charge back up the league table begins. And board, I ask again, can I have a new contract, please? Got the tie and everything. Right, few players rotating in and out for the game against Solihull. We're struggling a little bit for fitness. Cisse in particular has had to be given an entire week off of training, and he's not the only one who's been struggling a little bit for fitness. So we're trying to manage that with a microscopically small squad. So Stewart coming in at left back, Leeson moving from right back into the middle with McKnight coming back in. That allows us to rest Morris and Donnelly. Hinchy also dropping down to the bench. Roberts coming in alongside Levy. Evans replacing Cisse as the holding midfield player. And Flynn Clark is going to come in for Okoronkwo to give him a little bit of a rest and give him an opportunity to play up front with Saul playing as the more attacking striker. We are going to have to rotate a lot, I think, between now and the end of the season, because it's not as if we're even playing a huge number of games now. We've got a 7-day wait between the two matches. But the players they're shattered. Their injury risk is sky high for all of them. and we can't afford any injuries because we don't have any squad depth to be able to rotate people in for injuries. So we're going to have to try and be smart about how we manage the squad. And we're losing, which is I hate conceding from set pieces. I feel like set pieces should be our thing that we're really good at. And unfortunately, what is the point in him being on the line if he's just going to stand there and let the ball go past him? Marshall's dived in front of him and somehow the ball's gone between the two of them. You'd think between those two players, somebody can just kind of step into the path of the ball and stop it going into the back of the net, but apparently not. It's not as if Solihull are even particularly good. They're below us in the league as it stands. They're doing long throws. It's like it's FM23 again. Have we given away a penalty as well? It's so frustrating because set pieces, corners, penalties, they're not doing it from open play. They're just getting a little bit of luck go their way, aren't they? Marshall showing it's not about luck, it's about having enormous hands, and he makes the save. And I would have quite liked to have seen the follow-up, which would have been him just whacking the ball up the pitch for our strikers to chase onto, but apparently no. 2-0. I mean, I'm still going to class it as a set piece. It ultimately came from a throw. They're randomly allocated men in white shirts doing star jumps behind the goal. Seem to really enjoy that one. Did start with a throw. Who was that? Who was just dominated in the air? Bennett, who we saw score a corner of his own in the last match. So we know he is a big boy who's capable of being strong in the air, but he was absolutely dominated there. And now this time Marshall's only able to punch. And this is an absolute catastrophe when it comes to just basic non-league stuff. I mean, the goal against Dorking that we conceded, yes, it's frustrating, but at least it's just a screamer. There's no accounting for it. If you hit the ball really hard often enough, every now and again, you'll mishit it and end up in the back of the net like we saw with Dorking. And there's nothing really we can be expected to do about it. But to be conceding 3 goals like the 3 we've conceded here, these are the things, they're the basics that as a non-league team, we should be able to get right. And we're not getting them right. Jack Payne, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no, he scored in the first match. He's still a good signing. He's cheap. All we can afford is we can pay like £300 a week at the moment, and that's the absolute max we can pay out. We're not able to bring in there's players in this league on £2,000 a week, and we are just not competing in that on that level. We're the only part-time team in the entire division, I think, and it shows. It's why we're struggling for fitness. And it's why we can't pay decent wages, because everyone else is training full time on bigger budgets with bigger fan bases. It sounds like an excuse because that's exactly what it is. I'm making excuses so you don't all whinge at me in the comment section and tell me I'm rubbish at Football Manager. Saul does quite well to hold that up, plays it back to Stewart. And then Saul with a decent run, but it's actually Jack Evans, our holding midfield player, who bursts beyond everybody else. He has absolutely no business being there. And by the time he got through on goal, didn't know what to do with it either. I mean, stay in your lane, Jack, for goodness sake. Right, Clark has been rubbish, trying to play him in the more attacking role. I just don't think it suits him. I think we're probably going to have to, if we're going to use... We'll make Saul a poacher. If we're going to keep Flynn Clark around, which I'd like to, we actually might have to look at a way to accommodate him out wide. Hingy can come on and Roberts can push forward. And then I guess we'll take off Leeson, give him a little bit of a rest. Donnelly can come on for him. 3 changes, just really for the sake of making 3 changes to try and keep fitness levels as close to good as they can be. But like I say, when we're training twice a week and everyone else is training every day, there's only so much we can do to try and stay on the same level as everyone else fitness-wise. It was a good effort from Okoronkwo there, but it does end up coming back off the inside of the post. We're not getting the luck. No luck for us today. McKnight doing well to nod it down to Levy, and now McKnight is trying to continue his run down this right-hand side, plays it into the path of Saul, who I don't know why he's headed it. Why not? There's no one around him. Bring it down on your chest, take a touch, have a shot. Why are you heading it from there, you madman? I mean, it was excellent distance. We're all impressed at how far you can head a football, but please, next time, try and score a goal. Hinchy, bringing it wide, playing it into the path of, I don't even know who that was. Was that Okoronkwo? Who didn't really get a hold of it, and Roberts, I think it is, with the shot. that's very tame and into the hands of the goalkeeper. And now it's Solihull on the attack again as they look to pop a cherry on top the cake that is their excellent performance today against a woefully poor Peterborough Sports side. That we need new players and we need them quick. Our squad is too small to cope at this level. Oh no. Right, Robert's doing quite. See, he's a full-time professional now. He plays for Charlton, back in on loan. I can only assume he's training with Charlton during the week and then just coming down for match days now. And Okoronkwo does grab what's surely only going to be a consolation goal. He is one of the top scorers in the division. He is an excellent player, but training part-time, he just can't play every single week. As we've seen today, he needed a rest. But when he's come on, he still has grabbed us a goal. Should we go attacking? Should we try? We're going to go attacking. We're going to demand more. You never know. Solihull might be tiring. We've got boys who are fresh on the pitch off of the bench, and we're not going to get a single highlight because we've decided to go attacking. Lovely old stuff. I love this game. Oh, right. As it looks like we're just heading towards mid-table obscurity this season, I'm not going to make you sit through too much more mid-table obscurity. I think what we'll do is we'll go as long as it takes us to get to the point where we can bring those Premier League youngsters in. And if that's too late in the season, we might just go all the way through to the end of the season from here, because unless something changes, we're just going to win a few, draw a few, lose a few, and finish mid-table, and nobody needs to sit through another episode of that. So it'll be towards the end of the season, maybe even the very end of the season, that we come back tomorrow, and then we can start planning for the next It's Great Rebuild 2 coming up in just a few days' time. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.